Hey, hello, and welcome to this episode of DJ Force X in Conversation. This week's episode, or this episode I should say, is Kevin from Big Scary Monster in the final part of my Record Store Day trilogy. We spoke to Jack of Alco Pop Records first, getting some sort of insight into previous Record Store Day experiences with them. Big Scary Monster have also been involved previously with Record Store Day as well, but not this year, but previous year, so we get a little bit of insight on this one. And also we talk about a lot of their other bands and stuff and some reissues that they've got coming out or have had come out. And it's pretty cool because I go back with this label a long way. I remember it from back when I was trying to get records out with bands I was in. But it was really cool to actually chat with Kevin about that. And obviously last episode we had Neil Starr from Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. That sort of gave us, because they actually had a release this year. They released their cover of Silver Machine on a 7-inch vinyl. Which you can pick up from the Nuclear Blast website. They sold out of the Record Store Day versions, but they got a couple of other different colour vinyl now available on their store, so go check that out. I'm going to be picking one up myself. I didn't actually manage to pick it up Record Store Day. I went to Brighton to go see Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons with Ugly Kid Joe, and that was an absolute fucking fantastic show. Yellow Cake as well played that show, which is Whitfield Crane's new band, and they opened the show, and it was just a very enjoyable night. I've forgotten how many songs of Ugly Kid Joe's I actually knew, which was crazy. And Phil Campbell were a great live band. It's the first time I've seen them live, and it was just great. It was a great show. It was great. But the first thing I did in the morning was go to 101 Collector Records in Farnham as well. There's a bit of a queue there, but I did manage to pick up some records that day. Only 2 Record Store Day releases out of that, which was previous guests on the show, Public Service Broadcasting, with The People Who Always Need Coal, 12-inch, and Last Shop Standing, the documentary and song regarding independent record stores, which I've yet to kind of watch at the moment, but I'm going to, and I've yet to open the actual vinyl, which I do mean to do, and you'll see pictures come up on my feeds when I do that. But I also picked up some other records. I got another Public Service Broadcasting record, the War Room EP. I also picked up 9 Inch Nails with their Violence EP, and the 100, their album, on vinyl as well. Oh, and Rob Zombie Live, where he performs Astro Creep 2000 in its entirety, that White Zombie classic. But yeah, that was my Record Store Day. It was a pretty full on weekend. Still kind of recovering. But yeah, it was all good. So anyway, let's get on with the interview. This is Kevin from Big Scary Monsters. Enjoy.
Sounds great.
Cool. All right. Well, it's recording, so we've already started. So that's all good.
Cool.
So yeah, welcome to the show.
Hey.
How you doing today?
Good. Yeah, staying out of the rain.
Yes.
So same as every day, basically.
I was just looking out the window and it's just covered in rain all of a sudden. So
yeah, I'm sick of it. So yeah, roll on summer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was living in Florida up until recently, so I missed the sun very much right now.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's been a bit of a transition, but I've been back for about 8 months now, so I should be used to it. But
you should.
I miss palm trees and sun. So.
Oh, we're getting all mournful now. I
know, right? So we're starting a downer. Let's see if we can work our way up. So you run Big Scary Monster record label. You guys have been going. I mean, I can remember you guys from back, I want to say early 2000s, because I was in a band at the time, and you were one of the labels I think we submitted to at one point.
Oh, really? Did I reply?
No, you may have. It's right. This is not a long-term grudge thing. Don't worry about it. It was a long time ago. We're talking almost 20 years ago. So,
yeah.
That's
scary.
15? Yeah, it is scary. But we did all right. Don't worry. We actually ended up on a label and stuff, so we did all right. So
cool. Good to hear.
But I was just looking back on some of your discography, if you will, and some of those bands I remember from back, like touring around with or playing shows with, like Hiding with Girls, Jarius. Which other ones did I put down? Blackfish.
Second Smile.
Yeah, Second Smile. Was it Through Silence as well?
We did a single with them. Oh, I really am feeling old now.
Yeah, I know, right? And that was when we were like kind of starting out around that early 2000s, and we got signed up by Copro. Actually Casket, the distro deal, to be perfectly honest with you. And we released it kind of off our own backs, our first album, which did all right. But no, around that time we were playing with those bands, and like I said, I was aware of your label. I used to send me samplers as well because I was DJing
nice.
rock clubs and stuff as well. So
right,
we have kind of inadvertently been in contact before.
Yes. That was kind of early days. I think the label kind of officially began in 2001, and I guess by about 2003, 2004, so that kind of period, we were a proper label in terms of it wasn't just me walking around my town telling people I had a label. We actually had bands and things going on by then.
Yes. Yeah. No, like I say, I mean, I do remember. It was quite nice when obviously Jamie got in contact with me, and I was like, I know this. I still get your mail shots to my one of my email addresses and stuff. So,
nice. That's good.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy. I was just like, oh yeah, cool, let's do that. I used to get samplers from you guys as well. Back when you used to send out, I don't know if you probably still do, but I think I've got a bunch of CDs in my collection somewhere of yours. So it's all good to actually speak to you, with a voice rather than via email or whatever we did back then. I don't have that email address anymore, so I don't know if you did reply or not. So.
No, it'd be interesting to know, but I guess we never will.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But you have worked with some who have like kind of turned out to be big bands as well on the label. Obviously, Andrew WK is probably one of your biggest ones on there, and I saw on your website how that happened, so we don't need to go into that. You probably get asked that a lot. But I love Andrew WK. I've chatted to him a few times and once on my show as well, and he's a really nice guy. So
he is, he's great. That was a very random release, but a very nice one to have in the catalogue.
Yes, and more recently, you've got a couple of. You did the reissue of Hell Is for Heroes last month. How did that go? Because I cracked out that album recently, and
it's still such a great record. I don't think it's aged badly at all. That did really, really well. We were in touch with them back in 2007, I think, about a tour one of our bands supported on, and I just reconnected with Will and said, you looking to reissue the vinyl, and they hadn't particularly thought about it, so we started chatting, went for a few drinks, which is often the way these things kind of build, and then did it, and they played this tour and it went amazingly well.
Cool. So and what it was just the vinyl release you took care of, yeah?
It was, because I think it initially came out on vinyl 15 years ago, but a pretty limited pressing. So the few copies that were hanging around are pretty expensive on Discogs and eBay and stuff. We just did it. It's a fairly straight up reissue. It's not remastered or anything. We just left the tracks as they were. The artwork is basically the same, just a few little tweaks from the original. And then we did it on a different coloured vinyl. Pressed 1,000 copies, and they all sold out. Like the band were having to limit how many they could sell at each show because they were sort of too low on them. So it was really nice, actually. Yeah, it was great seeing people getting really into it again. And we went to a few of the shows. So we went to Bristol the sort of first night.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of went in naively thinking it was quite a small venue. I thought there was going to be sort of 400 people there, and I thought, we'll go and say hello and hang out and show some support. And we get there, and it's the best part of 2,000 people singing every word. And I think at that moment we were like, oh, they're going to be fine. Yeah. This isn't a problem at all. And then they kind of finished off with 2 nights at Shepherd's Bush Empire in London, which isn't a bad way to finish any tour, really. That they had so many friends and family there that night, and I saw so many people in sort of the in the bar, members of all these old bands, My Vitriol and 100 Reasons, and it felt like a real kind of, I don't know, gone back in time a little bit, but it was just great to see everyone coming back out and sort of celebrating that record and that whole scene that was back then.
Yeah, no, that must have been nice. I missed those run of shows, unfortunately. I did want to hit it up because it was A supporting as well.
A and Vex Red. So it was
the other one. Yeah, Vex Red. They're all they're local to me as well. Vex Red. They were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm based. Well, I was based in kind of Farnham, Aldershot area.
Okay, yeah.
Which is where they're from, and now I'm based in Camberley, which is just down the road. But
nice.
Yeah, no, obviously I moved away, but I'm back. So
you're back.
But no, it was those bands like 100 Reasons. Obviously, they're from around here, these parts, and Vex Red at the time, and all that kind of stuff, and all those bands. Reuben, which again, associated with you re-released their last album, and Jamie Lehman's new album as well.
Yeah. So we've been working with Jamie for, I guess, coming on for a year now, actually, and it's been great. And yeah, we did the Reuben reissue as part of that. That album had never been on vinyl. The band had self-released it back 10 years ago, and so we did that on vinyl for the first time and put it up on Spotify and all these things, which just kind of it fell through the gaps of, I guess, when it originally came out. And so that was awesome. I mean, a lot of people therefore expected a Reuben sort of a run of shows, which sadly isn't on the agenda, but it was cool sort of doing that and then going into Jamie's album, which just went amazingly well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw all the press for that and that was crazy. He really did hit or strike a nerve with a lot of people, and it is a fantastic album.
It is, yeah, and I think that's it. I think it really kind of connected for the old Reuben fans, the fans that Jamie's kind of made from his own music since, and it's brought in a load of new people as well. It's a pretty eclectic record, and it kind of shows off various different sides of Jamie's songwriting. And I think it's I hate using the phrase, but there's kind of something for everyone on there. Yes. And he's great to work with. He's very creative. He's already come up with the idea for his next record, which is one of the most bizarre emails I think I've ever had. But we'll see how it pans out. We've got more talks about it over the next few weeks, and I think people are going to be hearing a lot more from Jamie, pretty consistently over the next couple of years. That's
going to be really cool because I mean I loved Reuben when they're around because they're another local lot who did well, and one of the guys, Barney Evans, who was their manager. Yeah. Is a really good friend of mine. He promotes obviously in Aldershot as well. And I remember Jamie used to work in the fish and chip shop in my town, so I used to see him quite often when I went to go get food.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know it's crazy when the day jobs of musicians is kind of
exactly.
It's a show on its own, to be honest, because I had 3 jobs at one point trying to maintain the musician's career.
It's the same as a record label. When I started the label, I was working 9 to 5 for a phone company, 6 till 10 at the local supermarket, and then trying to do the label from sort of 10:30 until I fell asleep each night. And that was the first 3 years of it. So I definitely feel the pain of bands and everyone who's trying to sort of find that balance of kind of pursuing the dream but having to pay the bills.
No, it's a long way.
As
I think AC/DC said, it's a long way if you want to rock and roll. So. So going into this year, what sort of plans have you got for the label? Have you got any other releases coming out that you can announce, or anything coming out in the next couple of months that has already been announced but is on its way?
Yeah, we've had a very busy start to the year. I think we put out 8 releases in the first 10 weeks of the year. So we've kind of, it's almost felt weirdly quiet the last 2 weeks. But we've got a bunch of things. We just announced last week that we signed the Get Up Kids, who are pretty much my all-time favourite band. So that was cool. We found out actually at the Hell is for Heroes Bristol show, just before we went into that, got an email saying, are you interested in this? And we were. So we've announced that we're working with them, and we've got more announcements coming from them pretty soon. I better not say too much, but there's let's just say there is new music coming. So that's been really good. So we announced that one last week, and we've just announced another new signing, a very new UK band called Orchards, who are brilliant. We've just put a new song up online. They're kind of based in the sort of math rock world at the moment, but really they're a pop band. They're just, I guess, in similar ways to bands like Foals and stuff. They're brilliant musicians and they're kind of influenced by that scene, but they just write these incredible, huge songs. So we put the first song that we're going to be releasing of theirs up yesterday. had an amazing reaction, and so that's been really cool. So we have stuff coming from both of those bands, and I can't think else. We've got a lot of bands touring at the moment. We're actually opening a pop-up shop in Cardiff next week. We kind of do these shops alongside our records. We did one in London last year for 2 weeks, which went really well. And we decided we didn't really want to. I mean, we're based in Oxford, and we don't really want to be limiting ourselves just to the southeast. Yeah. So we're trying to. The plan is over the next 2 years, we're going to open 5 more shops all over the UK. And by the UK, we don't just mean England. So we're trying to get out further, and we're starting in Cardiff next week. So we're opening a shop there for sort of 5-6 days with a bunch of bands coming through to play in stores, and we've got like Tiny Moving Parts coming in to run the shop for us for one evening, which I don't really know how that's going to go. So that should be really fun. And then, so that's kind of, as soon as the releases got quiet, we got really busy with the final details for these shops and trying to work out everything. And Josie, who works for us, is down in Cardiff today, picking up the keys and checking the final bits. We're linking up with local charity and sort of doing lots of bits and pieces in the community. So that's been pretty busy, and it should be a lot of fun. And then we're working on other shops for later in the year for other cities.
So how does that work for you guys? I mean, obviously a pop-up shop, it's normally from what I've seen, it's normally I know like some big touring bands have done it where they have pop-up shops.
Yeah.
They did it in the States. I think Guns N' Roses had one nearer to me in one of my shopping centres and stuff.
Right.
And is it, so do you just rent a space for the week and then?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So and then set up for the week.
Yeah. Well, this one, Cardiff's a quick turnaround. We go in on Tuesday, we open up Wednesday, and we close the following Monday, as we'll have the Tuesday to pack down and get out. So it's just 7 days in and out. This shop, we've rented it. We found it through a website kind of similar to Airbnb for like retail spaces. And we've been in touch with them. Josie's been down there a few times to meet the landlord and talk to them about what we want to do. They were really supportive. This space in particular is great. It's like it's quite a big shop, sort of on the ground floor, and a busy shopping arcade right by the castle and by Club or Back, and lots of like places that people in Cardiff would very much know. Yeah. And then it's got a downstairs basement for all our stock and storage, and then upstairs we've got a space which holds maybe 50 people at a push, which is where we're going to do all the in-stores. So we can have like a dedicated space for bands to come in and actually play. We're only doing acoustic, sort of unplugged, but we have sort of Jamie Lenman and Nervous and Slaughter Beach Dog and a few others coming in to do short sets. We've got a local brewery we're sort of linking up with. We're going to be selling their beers, and that's kind of what we do. We try and go into these places and try and work with the organisations that are there, and it's very much about kind of making ourselves part of the scene rather than going in and just sort of being like, hey, Cardiff, look at us. We're kind of going in and saying, well, what's great about Cardiff? What can we work with? We're working alongside Spillers Records on it, and local gig promoters. So, there's a lot going on. It's just about sort of making these connections and partnerships where we can. And it's pretty intense, but it's always good fun. And so far, they've gone pretty well.
Cool. So how did you come up with that idea? What spurred you to, I mean, because like I say, pop-up shops, generally it's things like clothes or just general sort of like, memorabilia. You get like the typical sort of Christmas pop-up shops that are up for the December months and then they're disappeared. So what you're a record label. What was the sort of like, was it just something you saw something else work with and you thought that might work for us?
Well, the one we did in London last year, we decided we were getting to our 200th release and we wanted to celebrate that. So we'd brainstormed various ideas and we thought about doing a beer or just throwing a big party or having a big sort of all day or like mini festival. And all these ideas were really cool, but none of them were quite right. And then, not to sound like a horrible cliche, but it came to me in a dream. I woke up one morning and I sort of just said to my wife, I think we need to open a shop in London and do all of these things. And that's kind of what we did. So we used it as a space to have loads of bands come in and play and set up bars themselves and all this. And and again, we linked up with a brewery and lots of other things and just really kind of immersed ourselves in it. And it just kind of ticks a lot of boxes for us. And actually it was great because London's, it's an amazing city and it's got a huge music scene, but actually in the kind of the niche world that we live in, there's not that many shops in the city centre which are selling the kind of our kind of bands.
Yeah.
So we opened up in Hackney, and we had people taking a day off work to come out and buy records from us, because otherwise there was nowhere else for them to go. They could maybe go to like Banquet, but that's an hour and a half, sort of, well, 2 or 3 hour round trip.
Yeah.
And that's quite a long way. And you know, as convenient as mail order is, people do still like going to shops. Yeah. So for that 2 week period, we kind of filled a little bit of a gap in the market, it seemed. And it kind of just spurred us on, and we were like, well, let's do this again, and let's take it to other places. And, you know, Cardiff has Spillers, which is a great shop, and there's diverse music down the road in Newport. And so it's not sort of lacking in shops, but I think those shops are limited in how much stock they can carry. So we thought, well, we'll go in, and just for a short time, we'll bring in all of our records, we'll bring in stuff from other labels that we like. So we're stocking things from everyone from Sub Pop to Run for Cover to even some of the majors. And yeah, just kind of sort of imposing our taste on people for a few days, I guess.
Nice. That is a really good idea. I am impressed, sir. Thank you. Well
cool.
Done.
Thanks.
So speaking of stores generally, record stores. This is a nice little segue here. Record store
it
day.
Is. Well done.
Thank you. I just came up with it. So record store day. I'm trying to get sort of people's feelings, emotions, and general sort of opinions on it, because I love the day personally. It's one of the things. I'm an old school DJ, so I've still got my vinyl set up. I love getting the vinyl. Generally, I'm not like a purist on it, because I love CDs, I love MP3s, and I have embraced streaming. And I work for a company that is one of the streamers. So I'm not being paid to say this, but I do like it because they make me pay for it. So I'm not getting it for free. But I just wanted to get your sort of like, because obviously you've have released things on the said day, obviously not this year, but you've kind of taken the spirit of it in as much as a pop-up store, I feel, and in promoting obviously independent retailers as well as independent music. What is your experience with the day? I'm kind of trying to get it from the other side of the shop floor, if you will, because I can go into these places, I can go in there with my list of records that I want to get, and I'll pick up probably 1 out of the 20 that I list down, just purely because you look for the rare ones. But how do you, from the independent standpoint, because you have to compete with a lot of major bands reissuing stuff and major labels kind of, you know, putting in that very limited run of vinyl that everyone wants. How is it for you guys? How does it work for you?
I mean, we've put out, I think, 4 records over maybe a 5-year period for Record Store Day, and actually had a very good experience each time.
Okay.
It is a hugely competitive thing. You know, there's a lot of records being put out, and as I said, shops can only carry so many titles. But we've been lucky, you know, that we've got certain stores who we champion and they stock our stuff, and people know that they can go there and get our records even on a day like this. So we've kind of been able to fight our way through, I suppose, and you know, for people to be able to find our stock. The first time we did it, we put out a compilation. I can't remember what year this was now, a few years ago. And it was great just watching it. We organised a party that day with some of the bands off the compilation playing. And as I was travelling into London, I was following it on Twitter, and it was great just seeing people posting from various different parts of the country with photos of this record, saying, hey, I just got the final copy in Jumbo, or I got the final copy in Banquet or Rough Trade. And just seeing, like, you could almost plot a map and watch it around the country as certain shops and certain cities sold out. And that was really cool. It just felt great, you know. It was really, you know, shops, I think Record Store Day is kind of like Christmas for shops in terms of how much business they do, but it kind of felt a bit like Christmas for me as well, just watching like just all these people just saying this really nice stuff and being excited to pick up the record, and great for us and the band as well to see people have that excitement, you know, because it was almost a throwback to when I was younger, and, you know, a new album would come out. So, you know, like there's a new Oasis record and you'd be queuing outside of Woolworths to buy it or whatever. And the excitement of that, you don't often get that so much these days now, because maybe a record is streaming via a magazine a week before it comes out, and things like that. And also, I'm older and a bit more jaded, so I don't tend to queue up in the rain outside of a shop. But it was a real nice kind of throwback to those days, and just the enthusiasm from everybody, just to be a part of it. And it was great. I'd love to see that kind of attitude more often, and sort of people to be really embracing record shops all year round, because they're a great thing. They are,
and they're a dying breed as well, which is unfortunate.
Although I think actually there are some shops popping up again. I feel like we went through the period where a lot of shops closed down, and I think in the last couple of years, a few more, especially kind of like vinyl dedicated ones, and sometimes in towns you wouldn't necessarily expect, are starting to pop up and do quite well, which is good. It feels like perhaps we're turning a corner there a little bit.
I hope so. I mean, I've got a friend who runs one in Farnham, and has done for as long as I can remember. Well, the record store's been there for as long as I can remember. It used to be called Ben's Collector Records. It's now called 101 Collector Records. Right. But he's been in there probably, must be about 15 years now. And he's an independent stockist. He and Record Store Day basically would maintain probably the majority of his business for the year, but would pay for the shop to be open for the year anyway, at least. Yeah. But I've always been the one to encourage people to go in there other than that day. Obviously, go in there, queue up, get the release you want, because they are exclusives, And some people just want that 180 gram vinyl, exclusive, gatefold,
which is completely fair enough.
It is. And what I always encourage people to do is look around the shop, pick up something else. Go through the other racks. Do a little bit of crate digging. You don't have to go mad on it, but you might find something. You might find the original pressing of it for a tenner.
Exactly.
More, it's the original pressing. You know what I mean? So,
no, definitely.
And then go back the next week, or go back and just, because a lot of the places have relatively affordable music in there. You can pick up an album on vinyl, £3, £4, £5. It's not in great condition, but at the end of the day, it's you've got that piece of art in front of you. So
that's it. And I think buying records is quite an addictive hobby as well.
Oh, it is.
Once you get going, I mean, it's one you maybe regret when you come to move house, but up until that point, it's a really nice thing to have.
Oh, it is. It is. Until you look at your bank account as well, or if one night you drank a little bit too much and you thought, oh, I'll have that, and then a couple of days later you get this package arrive and you're like, no, I've done it again. Yep. I used to do that a lot as a kid, because like I said, I was a DJ and I still am a DJ, but like buying vinyl, I would like, I obviously go to some stores, because we did have some in the area that specialised in like sort of like the drum and bass stuff I was into, and all that kind of stuff, and scratch stuff. But just sort of going online and ordering a whole bunch of vinyl from what was it? Hard to Find Records, I think, was the store that I used to buy from. I don't know if they still exist, actually. I've not looked.
No.
But they were like up in Birmingham, but I'd often get packages from there, like, oh, when did I order that? Oh. I'm not checking my emails for receipts or anything, but it can be an addictive thing, and it's one of those things that I think has helped, obviously, with the revival. I think when I was chatting to Jack earlier, he mentioned that how the streaming services have kind of they complement the sort of physical releases now. So whereas you can get any piece of music you want that's obviously been licensed to those streaming services, but then if you really, really like the album, you can go out and you can buy the physical product. You can buy that piece of vinyl with the big artwork and all that kind of stuff on it. You can buy the CD if you wanted something a bit more compact. And that you can play in your car if you still have a CD player in your car. And just stuff like that, and how the MP3 kind of didn't do that for the physical product. It kind of almost knocked out the general sort of like domain, if you will. Which it did for a bit, because MP3s were selling very well. But then I think with the streaming services, I don't know if it's the same for you. With streaming, it's grown, and it can be a big asset now if you use it properly.
No, absolutely. And I think, Jack's right. It does complement the physical product pretty nicely. We still put download cards inside of each of our records,
Yeah.
but we're seeing less and less people actually use those now, because I think a lot of people are on Spotify or one of those similar services.
Yeah.
And music consumption for me has always been about convenience, really, and people choose the format which best suits their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people that we're selling to anyway, it's probably a mix of vinyl and streaming, because they want streaming for when they're out and about, but they want the vinyl at home as part of their collection, so they can, it's a physical thing they could still hold and sort of, adore, basically.
Yeah. Well,
and
it's that thing of not owning something as well. Like with the streaming services and MP3s, I feel you don't own anything.
No,
a digital file isn't anything. You know what I mean?
No,
it's bits of data that can easily disappear. Whereas
exactly.
when you've got the physical product, it can still easily disappear. Don't get me wrong. People used to steal my records, and stuff like that. But it's having that physical piece of the band as well. Because if you appreciate the music, you appreciate the band, and it's owning a piece of them.
Yeah.
As well. So, and when having these streaming services, it kind of there's no. What's the right word for that? There's no soul to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas with the physical product, not to negate, I love the streaming services. They're very good. Don't get me wrong, but there is no. You don't own anything that you're listening to.
No.
Whereas if you want that piece of artwork.
That's it. And I think that people sometimes forget there are a lot of fans out there who do still want to own a piece of artwork.
Yeah.
So that often does get forgotten, I think. And I think those people will always be around. And we're seeing it as well with we sell a lot of vinyl to younger people as well. Some of our bands like Modern Baseball, they have a very young fan base who buy a lot of records. And it's great to see that, 16-year-olds buying LPs.
Yeah.
We're not only selling to the 30-somethings. And so hopefully that sort of, that's going to be preserved for the next generation, I guess.
I hope so. I mean, it's away from the sort of like purist side of things, it's a great product,
Yeah.
I've always since being part of the music industry, I've always loved producing, as part of being a creative, you love producing a piece of art, a physical piece, whether it be a CD or a tape or a record in this case. And you've got that there. I've created this. It's like painting a wall. You know what I mean? It's just I've done that. I built this. I made this. I produced this.
No, absolutely.
And it's great that the sort of next generation of music listeners, consumers, whatever you want to call them, are embracing that physical side of things again. Just purely on the basis that it's not. I mean, for the artist, it's good as well, because a lot of the creative outlet is obviously the music side of it, but also the expression of that as well. So, I'm hoping again for the rise of sort of music videos and that side of it, the visual media,
definitely.
Whereas it's been kind of a lot of lyric videos, which are getting better. Don't get me wrong. They're kind of they're not just words on the screen anymore. There's a lot of art and sort of cartoons going on with those things now. But I just love that physical product, and I'm glad it's kind of, from your perspective, knowing that it's being picked up by the younger generation as well. So.
Definitely, no, all for it.
Cool. So, are you? I know obviously you're not releasing anything this year, but are you doing anything this year for Record Store Day? Does this pop up all over that, or?
No, we opened the pop-up the week before, so we closed just a few days before Record Store Day.
Okay.
That was an intentional thing, because as much as we want to go in and sort of support these cities, it would feel really wrong for us to go in and be open on their busiest day of the year. So we're purposely avoiding that. And so we close up 4 or 5 days before Record Store Day. Okay. So, and we'll be advising everybody to be going to the shops, which are there all year round.
Awesome. Excellent. So, this question I asked Jack earlier. Your 3 top albums that shape the person that you are today.
Oh wow, that's that's a question, isn't it?
It is a question.
I have no idea. 3 albums. I'm going to sound so biased here, but Something to Write Home About by the Get Up Kids.
Cool.
Purely because I think that album, I actually bought that off of eBay, and it is probably my favorite record in the world. I bought it for $2 from eBay in the US, because I think I'd read a review in Kerrang. This is back in the days of reading reviews and having to take a punt on a record. So, and that I'd never really heard anything like it at that point. I think my music taste was heading that way, but I didn't know that scene or genre even existed. And that opened up doors for me personally and sort of professionally in the end, because that shaped the sort of bands that we went on to sign. And weirdly, ultimately, we then signed that band, which is crazy. So that's definitely got to be in the top 3. What else? I think maybe for similar reasons, Ideas Above Our Station by 100 Reasons. Again, opened me up sort of musically, not a million miles from the Get Up Kids, but that kind of opened me up to a UK version of it, I suppose. Yeah. And there was a little record shop, weirdly, right down the road from my flat where I'm sitting right now, which I used to go in. I used to live further away from here, and I used to travel to go to this shop. And the guy in there used to recommend albums to me based on what I was into. And that was one that he told me to check out, and he used to put on gigs, and I went to see them play to like 20 people in Oxford, and it just really kind of opened me up to a whole new scene and really encouraged me to work in music myself. So for very similar reasons to Get Up Kids, that goes in there. The third record, I've been self-indulgent in this, so I'm going to carry on, but it's Variations on Swing by Meet Me in St. Louis, which is another band from your part of the world, I think. That record we put out in 2007, and that was just a real changing point for the label. Like I took out a bank loan to pay to put out that record, and it was kind of like, I don't know how this is going to go, and if it went badly, it was the end of the label, and me having to go back to getting a proper job and all that kind of thing. But it actually went really, really well. And the band split up months after the record came out, which in many ways was an absolute disaster. But it had gone well enough up to that point that I was at least encouraged to continue. Yeah. Like we hadn't broken even. It took us years and years to break even on that record. But it was good to see that we could do the job and put this thing out. And the band sort of reformed just for a couple of final shows 2 years ago. And it was so good because they never got to play their final shows the first time around. So it was great to see that. And it was just a real kind of, I don't know, everything about it was just quite, I don't know, affirming for me, I suppose. And yeah, so excellent. There we go. None of them are massive famous records, but they all meant a lot to me.
Awesome. That's all good. So what, just finding, what are your hobbies away from music? Away from your label? Do you do anything else, or is it just all...
No, weirdly, me and Jack were talking about this just a few days ago and saying that, well, music, we're lucky enough to work in something which is our hobby. Yep. So sometimes it's very difficult to go out and sort of drag yourself away and find other hobbies. I really like cooking, which I kind of got into a few years ago, and kind of through necessity because my wife just won't do it. So I was like, well, someone's got to cook. Uh-huh. I really like that. I find that quite therapeutic. Cool. And we have a dog who's asleep with me right now, and he, I have to walk him and sort of be around for him, and that's kind of, I don't know if that counts at all as a hobby, but it's definitely got me more outside than I used to be.
That's good, yeah.
And sort of changed up my routines and dragged me away from just staring at a computer all day, every day.
Yep.
So it's certainly offered me a good balance anyway.
Cool, I have a dog too, and it did the same thing for me, so...
Yeah, it's good. I was never a dog person, and I agreed to get one thinking this is going to be terrible, and actually I loved it. So, it was good. And then outside of that, I'm a big football fan, and I support Reading and follow them every weekend.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah, but they're so bad at the moment, I can't really count that as a hobby.
Where I work, I actually work in Reading, so
okay.
I see a lot of them guys about. So,
right.
That's all good.
Yeah, tell them to do better.
Yeah, I will. Cool, man. Finally, where can people reach you? Where's the best place to get Big Scary Monster?
So if they go to bsmrocks.com, that's our website, everything is there. That's our kind of portal to follow us through the socials, and we've got all our contact details on there, and there's playlists for all of our bands. Cool. And everything they could possibly want.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for your time.
No worries.
I'll let you get off to your next one. So
thanks. Yeah, thank you very much. Cool.
All right.
Sounds great.
Cool, man.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, all right?
And you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.